Hey there, do you want to know how to do the recording inside of MS Excel, that too with an example? If yes, then this video is absolutely for you. Do watch it without the fail. In this video, we are going to learn how to record the macros in MS Excel. I'll take you through the complete steps to show that how to record the macro inside of MS Excel, and all this has been done using a very simple data which will be very easy to recreate and understand. You can easily get this exercise file downloaded in your system using the link provided in the description of this video. So go ahead, watch this complete video, practice this concept in the exercise file provided to you, and become the master of it. Hello everyone, welcome back to this Microsoft Excel tutorial journey with me on my Knowledge Factor YouTube channel. This is session number 151 and we are learning the Microsoft Excel macros and VBA tool in detail. So let's take a look at how we can utilize Excel's built-in feature, the macro recorder, to automate some of your tasks as we work inside of Excel. So in this example, we are going to take a look at adding headers and formatting headers and some of the content inside of this worksheet right here. Now, I want to encourage you to download the example file, for which I have provided the link here at the description of this video. So this one here is called the inserting and formatting text.xlsx. So it's an Excel file. Inside of here, there are three worksheets: East Records, Run Macro, and Run with Button. So these three little worksheets, we are going to focus in this video on the first one here, the East Records, right? The other two will get into those as we continue through this section of the course. So let's quickly open the macro recorder and start to automate this task. So my first step, I have got the workbook open. I'm going to go up to my developer tab here, top of my screen, and on my developer tab, there's a section called code. Now we are going to focus on each of these buttons as we continue through this portion of this course, but for right now we are going to focus on the record macro button. Okay, so I'll give that a click, record macro. This will open up your little interface to do the initial setup for the macro that you are about to record. So our first step, we got to give the macro name. So I'm going to call this add format headers. Now, a couple of key things to take away from your macro name. First, the macro names will not allow spaces, no spaces in them. You can see here that I just kind of strung it all together, right? I did what you might here refer to as camel casing, where the first letter of each word is uppercase and then lowercase, uppercase and then lowercase, and so on. So it makes it a little bit easier to read, but no spaces. Even you can have numbers, numeric values inside your macro names are allowed, but the macro name itself cannot start with a number. So you have to start your macro name with some letters, the alphabetical letters, and then maybe you can use the numbers in between, right? And also you can have some special characters inside the macro names, but I tend to just stay away from them because there are some caveat, there is some special characters that you cannot include inside the macro name. So I typically just stay away from that special character and try to keep them text values. Now you want to keep the length of the macro name as short. They can be up to 255 characters, but I think that's a bit too much information inside of a single macro or a procedure names, right? So keep them short, but try to be direct. It will allow people to look at it and right away realize that, oh, this is what this macro is going to do for us, right? So no spaces, stay away from the special characters, just a general rule, and up to 255 characters, but keep them short, concise, to the point, right? Easy to read. Now the next thing that we get here is how you are going to run the macro. Now there is actually multiple ways to build to activate a macro once you have created it. One of them is a shortcut key. Another one that we will see later, and also I think I have covered this in my previous video also in very short, we can create the buttons inside of Excel. I have provided the link here at the top. Maybe you can go ahead and watch that, but no worries, we are going to cover that in our future videos as well in detail. So we can create buttons inside the Excel workbook itself. So like someplace out on the worksheet, or we can modify the quick access toolbar or ribbon to place button there for favorite macros that you create, right? So for right now, a shortcut key. That's the method we are going to learn. So now you do want to be careful here. You don't want to use a shortcut key that Excel already uses. So for right now, a shortcut key. That's the method we are going to use and learn. Now you do want to be careful here. You don't want to use a shortcut key that Excel uses by default, right? So for example, if I do Control S, the letter S, well, what does that do? Control S. Remember, most application have this one. This is your save command. I don't want to use that because that will override the save command inside of Excel interface. So it will run your macro instead, right? So you want to be careful of that. Use something that has not been used already, or something that you really don't care about, right? They are optional. You don't have to use a shortcut key. You can, like I mentioned, you can use buttons inside of the interface as well. And Excel has got a way for you to get to the macros itself already built in. So it is optional, but I like shortcut keys. So I'm going to use L instead of S. So Control and the letter L. Now I just entered there capital L. So if you see the difference, if you put the capital letter there, then the shortcut key becomes Control Shift and the letter. So you do have the benefits there of utilizing the Shift key in combination with the Control key as well. So I'll leave that up to you. Just remember what you used here, if you use anything at all, right? So I'll just put here a small l, Control L. That is what I will use. The next option that we have here is where we are going to store the macros. Now this really depending on where you use, select, or where you choose to store the macro is where you are going to get access to the macro. So where are you going to be able to use it? Currently it says this workbook, meaning this workbook, the insert and formatting text workbook. If I store it here, I can use it in this workbook if this workbook is open. Now if this workbook is not open on my computer, then I can't use the macro here, at least the macro which I am saving right now, because it's stored in this workbook and this workbook is not open in my system, right? So you can't use it. समझ रहे हो? समझ रहे हो आप? समझ रहे हो ना? So you do have the other options, two other options I think, yeah. Personal macro workbook and new workbook. So the personal macro workbook. Now the benefit here is if I record a macro and store it in the personal macro workbook, it is available anytime I have Excel open on my computer. Doesn't matter what workbook I have open, it's always open. It's in the background and I can access the macro from the personal macro workbook. Now that's great because there might be some macros that you are going to reuse across multiple files while stored in the personal one, and that's always available to you on your system, your copy of Excel, right? The other option that we have here is the new workbook, right? This will create a new workbook at time of recording and place the macro in there. The benefit of that one is you can store maybe some common related macros all inside of their own workbook, but in order to use it you have got to open up that workbook. Alright, so for us right now I'll leave it at this workbook option, the active workbook, and then we can leave a little note, a description. This macro does ABC blah blah blah, right? This is great because if you share your file with someone and they want to look at your macro and they want to understand like what it does, well, you can leave a descriptive note about what the macro does. So I'm just going to say something simple to keep this short and sweet. So I'll say place headers and formats the content. There you go. Alright, so just a handful of little things, get it set up, right? Now here comes the magic. I'm going to just hit OK, and once I do, it is now recording. So anything I do in the Excel interface now, it will record it and write it down. And in that way, later on when you rerun the recording, it will perform those same steps again. So this is great, but it's also something you want to be careful of, because literally anything you do, you click in a cell, you click on a command, you click on a different worksheet, you minimize Excel, you open up another workbook, it will record all of those commands. Each and every action of yours will be recorded by the macro. Alright, so to be careful, but a great feature. Right, so I have just hit OK and the recording mode is on, and you'll notice that down at the bottom of my screen, left hand side, I have now got a little square down there, and it says a macro is currently recording. Click to stop recording. So this is a stop button. So when you are all done with the recording, you can click that button or go back to the developer tab and hit the stop recording button right there as well. So we are now recording. Now a common confusion I can think about at this point is that, which many of you can get, that does time matter? So the answer to that is that time doesn't matter. So let's say if I sit here and I just let the recording go, it's not recording how long it takes me to do something. It's just recording the literal steps, the clicks, right? The literal commands that I run inside of the Excel interface. Each click, each type in the cell, right? Whatever you do, that will be recorded. Waiting time will not be making any sense in the recording, right? So with that said, let's jump up to the cell A3. I'm going to type in region, expense. I've got 3 months, so January, February, March, and I'll give this a total. So now I have got each of my headers there, and I just clicked inside of A3, typed it in, used my tab key, typed in, tabbed over, typed in, tabbed over, and so on, right? Now in the background, Excel is busy recording, writing down everything I have done. So the next thing I want to do here is I'll do a little bit of formatting. So I'm going to select those headers, and let's see, I'll go to my home tab, and I'm going to make them bold. I'll change the background color. I'll change the font color. That's looking pretty good. I'll just make it center aligned. Maybe I'll add a bottom border as well. So whatever you like to do, but perform a few steps there to format those headers. Now one more thing, I'm now going to select C4 to F17. I'm just going to grab that data right there because I want to format these as a currency. So with that selected, back to my home tab, underneath the number section, I'm just going to hit the currency marker there and done. So now I have done a bit of formatting here. Now I do want to point something out. We clicked inside of a specific cell to start. We clicked inside of cell A3, literally clicked into that cell, right? There was something else selected, but I clicked into that cell. By doing that, Excel, the first thing it did was it said, oh, they just clicked inside of the sheet and selected cell A3 and wrote that down, and then we moved over to the next cell and so on. So it wrote it all down in that sequence, right? We also selected a group of cells here, right? What is that? C4 to F17, and we formatted that group of cells. But Excel again wrote down, oh, you selected these cells. So I'm just reiterating these steps sequentially because I want you to remember that, because it's going to come back to us in the later stage in the videos, right? So we are going to need to make some adjustment to make this a little more dynamic, a little more reusable. So put that in the back of your head. We are going to come back to those steps right there. So try this out first. Do a little bit of recording and get some formatting inside there.
रुको जरा, सबर करो.
Oh, when you are all done with the recording, you have to stop recording, right? So go back to the developer tab. I'm going to hit the stop recording button. Boom, done, right?
खत्म, बाय बाय, टाटा, गुड बाय, गया.
You saw that little box down below went away for me. So I'm no longer recording here. All right, so try it out. Then the next thing we are going to take a look at is rerunning the macro that you just created in the next video. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you today.
मजा आया.
The main focus was that how can you start recording inside of your Excel and how can you stop the recording. All right, so just have a practice of this until we meet up in the next video. All right, so thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and as always say, if you really like this video and enjoying this journey, then please do like, share and subscribe my channel, and also press the bell icon to get the latest content update on this channel. Alright, then we'll meet up in the next session. In case you have any questions, any concerns, then do let me know in the comment section of this video. So see you in the next session. Till then, stay safe, have a great life and take very good care of yourself.